From its birth as a nation in the aftermath of World War II to its current status as a pariah state under international sanctions, North Korea has always been a source of fascination and controversy. Throughout its history, North Korea has been characterized by its isolationist policies, strict control over its citizens, and aggressive rhetoric towards the outside world. The country has been ruled by the Kim dynasty since its inception, with the current ruler, Kim Jong-un, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the history of North Korea, exploring the events and policies that have shaped the country and its people. We will examine the political, economic, and social factors that have contributed to North Korea's unique and often troubling path. So sit back, relax, and join us on a journey through the fascinating and complex history of North Korea. Before we begin, make sure you have subscribed to our channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon to keep yourself updated with our regular uploads. Early history. The first point in our journey through the history of North Korea is the early history of the Korean Peninsula. The Korean Peninsula has a rich and complex history that spans thousands of years, with various kingdoms and dynasties rising and falling over time. One of the most notable kingdoms that existed on the Korean Peninsula was the Goguryeo Kingdom, which flourished from 37 BC to 668 AD. The Goguryeo Kingdom was known for its military might and its territorial expansion, with its influence spreading throughout the region. In the centuries that followed, the Korean Peninsula saw the rise of various other kingdoms, including the Silla, Baekje, and Goryeo kingdoms. These kingdoms engaged in both internal conflicts and external struggles, with neighboring powers like China and Japan exerting their influence on the region. In the late 19th century, Korea was subject to imperialist expansion by Japan, which colonized the peninsula from 1910 to 1945. This period was marked by forced assimilation, harsh labor conditions, and brutal repression of Korean culture and identity. After Japan's surrender in World War II, the Korean peninsula was divided into north and south along the 38th parallel, with the Soviet Union occupying the north and the United States occupying the south. The division of Korea ultimately set the stage for the tensions and conflicts that would define the modern era of North Korean history. Division of Korea. The second part of our journey through the history of North Korea is the division of Korea. After the end of World War II, the Korean peninsula was occupied by the Soviet Union in the north and the US in the south. Tensions between the two superpowers quickly arose over the future of the peninsula, with both sides supporting different political systems and leadership. In the north, the Soviet Union supported the establishment of a communist government under the leadership of Kim-Il Sung, while the US supported the establishment of a democratic government in the south. These competing visions for the future of Korea ultimately led to the division of the peninsula along the 38th parallel in 1948, with the creation of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in the north and the Republic of Korea in the south. The division of Korea was initially intended to be temporary, with reunification efforts taking place in the years that followed. However, these efforts ultimately failed, with both North and South Korea engaging in military and political conflicts over the years. The Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953, resulted in the formal separation of North and South Korea and the establishment of a demilitarized zone between them. The division of Korea has had a profound impact on the development of North Korea and its people. It has led to a sense of isolation and animosity towards the outside world, as well as a strict focus on self-reliance and military power. The legacy of division continues to shape North Korea policy and ideology to this day, as the country remains a pariah state under international sanctions and isolation. Kim-Il Sung era. The third part of our journey through the history of North Korea is the rise of Kim-Il Sung and the establishment of a communist regime in North Korea. Kim-Il Sung, a former guerrilla fighter against Japanese colonial rule, was appointed as the premier of North Korea in 1948. He quickly consolidated power and established a cult of personality around himself, portraying himself as a hero of the Korean people and a champion of communism. Under Kim Il-sung's leadership, North Korea pursued a policy of self-reliance known as Juche, which emphasized economic and political independence from foreign powers. This policy involved the nationalization of industries, collectivization of agriculture, and strict control over the economy by the government. Kim Il-sung's regime also established a system of political control that was characterized by authoritarianism, repression, and censorship. The regime used propaganda and education to instill loyalty to the government and its ideology, while also suppressing dissent and opposition through a vast network of secret police and prison camps. During the repression, North Korea experienced some economic and social progress in the early years of Kim Il-sung's rule, with improvements in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. However, the country's isolation and reliance on heavy industry led to economic stagnation and a decline in living standards over time. Korean War. The Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953, was a significant event that shaped North Korea's history. The war began when North Korea, backed by the Soviet Union and China, invaded South Korea, which was supported by the United States and other Western countries. The war resulted in the division of Korea into North and South, with a demilitarized zone separating the two countries. The conflict ended in a ceasefire, rather than a peace treaty, leaving the two Koreas technically still at war. The war had a profound impact on North Korea, solidifying the regime's ideology of self-reliance and anti-imperialism. The regime emphasized the need for a strong military, seeing the conflict as a justification for the country's military-first policy. The war also led to significant economic challenges for North Korea, including the loss of infrastructure and resources and a heavy reliance on foreign aid. This further reinforced the regime's emphasis on self-reliance and the need for a closed, self-sufficient economy. Kim Jong-il era. The fifth part of our journey through the history of North Korea is the cult of personality and succession of Kim Il-sung. As Kim Il-sung grew older, his cult of personality only intensified. He was portrayed as a godlike figure, with state media describing him as the eternal president and the son of the nation. His image was ubiquitous, appearing on billboards, statues, and even food packaging. In the late 1980s, as Kim Il-sung's health began to decline, there was growing speculation about his succession. In 1994, Kim Il-sung died of a heart attack, triggering a period of uncertainty and instability in North Korea. Kim Il-sung's son, Kim Jong-il, was quickly named as his successor, but he lacked the same charisma and popularity as his father. To compensate for this, Kim Jong-il continued to promote his father's legacy and cult of personality, while also emphasizing his own role as a military leader and champion of North Korean ideology. Under Kim Jong-il's leadership, North Korea faced a series of economic and social challenges, including famine, natural disasters, and international isolation. Despite these challenges, the regime continued to prioritize its military and nuclear programs, leading to further isolation and international condemnation. Today, Kim Jong-il's son and current leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, continues to maintain the cult of Kim Jong-un era. The fifth and final part of our journey through the history of North Korea is the country's current status as a pariah state, isolated from much of the international community. Under the leadership of Kim Jong-un, North Korea has continued to pursue a policy of self-reliance, military power, and nuclear weapons development. The regime has faced increased international condemnation and economic sanctions as a result. In recent years, North Korea has conducted a series of missile and nuclear tests, further heightening tensions with the U.S. and other countries. The regime's human rights record, including reports of torture, forced labor, and political repression, has also been widely criticized. Despite this isolation and condemnation, North Korea maintains a strong sense of national pride and identity, emphasizing its unique political and economic system as a model for other countries to follow. The regime continues to maintain a tight grip on political control, while also promoting some limited economic reforms and opening up to foreign investment in certain sectors. The future of North Korea remains uncertain, with questions about the stability of the regime, the possibility of a peaceful resolution to the nuclear issue, and the potential for reunification with South Korea. However, the legacy of North Korea's history, including its cult of personality, political control, and self-reliance, will continue to shape the country's path forward.